Commander Tahoe pressed his hand against the viewing screen, his face grim as he watched the end of yet another world. From his hidden observation post on the small moon, he had a clear view of the Moraxian planet below. Just yesterday, it had been full of life and activity. Now it was quiet. Too quiet. Recording all data, he said to his small team. The Ravi ships entered orbit 6 hours ago. On the screen, tall blue-skinned figures marched in perfect rows. The Moraxians, once known for their joyful singing and chaotic water festivals, now moved like robots. Their movements were stiff and their eyes empty. "It was so fast," whispered Q, the youngest crew member. One moment they were fighting back, and then the Ravi turned on their mind control ray. Tahoe finished. He had seen this 23 times now. It never got easier to watch. The Ravi were not physically impressive. They stood shorter than most galactic species, with thin bodies and large heads. But they didn't need physical strength, not when they had the power to turn any thinking being into a slave with the flip of a switch. Tahoe's communication device buzzed. The stern face of Admiral Jaiyun appeared. "Report, Commander," she said. "Complete takeover, Admiral." The Moraxians resisted for approximately 45 minutes after the first control ray was activated. The Ravi have now established 3 control centers on the planet's surface. Jaiyun's face showed no emotion, but Tahoe had served under her long enough to see the tension in her eyes. "Return to headquarters immediately," she ordered. "The Galactic Alliance Council needs your first-hand account." "Yes, Admiral." Tahoe paused. "Permission to speak freely?" Jaiyun nodded once. "The Ravi are getting faster with each conquest. Their technology is improving. If we don't find a way to stop their mind control soon." "I know, Commander." For just a moment, worry showed on Jaiyun's face. "That's why I need you back at headquarters now. Our scouts have discovered the Ravi's next target." The screen showed a blue-green planet with swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful, like so many others before they fell. "It's called Earth," Jaiyun continued. "A developing world in a remote system. The local species call themselves humans." Tahoe studied the image. "Have we made contact with them?" "No, they're not advanced enough for official first contact protocols. They've barely reached their own moon." Jaiyun's voice hardened. "But the Ravi don't care about protocols. Our intelligence suggests they're already preparing their science vessels." Q looked up from his station. "Then these humans are doomed, like all the others." Tahoe shot him a warning look, but Jaiyun just sighed. "Perhaps, but we must try to prevent it if we can. The Alliance cannot afford to lose another world to the Ravi Empire." After ending the call, Tahoe ordered his team to prepare for departure. As they packed up their observation equipment, he took one last look at the conquered planet below. The Moraxians had been a peaceful species, known for their art and music. Now they were just empty shells, working to build more mind control technology for their Ravi masters. Soon, they would be sent to help conquer other worlds, unless someone found a way to break the control. As their small ship pulled away from the moon, Tahoe thought about the unknown humans on the distant planet Earth. They'd probably had no idea what was coming for them. No species had ever resisted the Ravi mind control ray. Not the brilliant Centaurians with their advanced science, not the ancient Frexel with their powerful mental abilities. What chance did a young, developing species like humans have? "Setting course for Alliance headquarters," said the pilot. Tahoe nodded and took his seat. In his pocket, he carried a data crystal with all their observations of the Moraxian conquest. One more record of defeat to add to the Alliance's growing collection. As their ship jumped into hyperspace, Tahoe wondered if they would ever add a record of victory. The Ravi science vessel hung in Earth's orbit, hidden behind the moon. Chief Scientist Dae-sung stared at the blue planet with great interest. After 23 successful conquests, he expected this one to be just as easy. "Begin the scans," he ordered his team. Su-bin, his assistant, tapped at the control panel. Colorful images of Earth appeared on the main screen. showing cities, oceans, and billions of humans going about their daily lives. Humans appear to be at technology level 4, Subin reported. They have basic space travel, global communication networks, and nuclear weapons, but no defense against our ships or technology. Dae-sung nodded. A typical developing world. What about their brain patterns? Subin frowned at her readings. That's strange. Their neural activity is unlike anything in our database. It's much more chaotic than other species. That shouldn't matter, Dae-sung said. The control ray works on all brain types. It just needs to be tuned correctly. He turned to the team. Prepare for a test subject collection. Find an isolated human in a rural area. Hours later, a human male lay on the examination table in the ship's laboratory. The man was unconscious but otherwise unharmed. Sensors attached to his head sent data to the Ravi computers. Subject is a male, approximately 30 years old, Subin said. Healthy specimen. Dae-sung adjusted the settings on a small handheld device. We'll start with a low-power test of the control ray, just enough to make him follow simple commands. He pointed the device at the human and activated it. The familiar hum filled the room as invisible waves penetrated the human's brain. The man's eyes opened, becoming dull and empty like all controlled subjects. Stand up, Dae-sung ordered. The man stood slowly. Raise your right hand. The man raised his right hand. Dae-sung smiled. Perfect, just like all the others. He made notes in his datapad. Now we'll test how long the control lasts. Keep monitoring his brain activity. At first, everything seemed normal. The human followed every command without question. But after 8 minutes, Subin noticed something on her screen. Sir, look at this. His brain is changing. Dae-sung looked at the display. The man's neural patterns were shifting, forming new connections around the affected areas. That's impossible, Dae-sung whispered. Suddenly, the man blinked. His eyes cleared, and he looked around the laboratory with growing panic. Where am I? Who are you people? He backed away, fear replacing the empty look on his face. Dae-sung increased the power on his control device and aimed it at the human again. The man froze momentarily, his eyes going blank once more, but after just 3 minutes, he shook his head and returned to normal. What are you doing to me? The man shouted, looking for an escape. Dae-sung ordered security to sedate the human. Once the man was unconscious again, the scientist turned to Subin. This is unprecedented. The control effect isn't lasting. Subin studied the data. It seems their brains naturally resist outside influence. The neural pathways we block simply find new routes within minutes. Impossible, Dae-sung repeated. No species had ever resisted the mind control ray. It was the foundation of the Ravi Empire's power. We need more test subjects, he decided. Different ages, different regions, and we need to try higher power settings. Over the next week, the Ravi abducted 20 more humans. Each time, the result was the same. The control worked briefly, but never lasted more than 10 minutes, even at maximum power. On Earth, stories of strange lights and missing people began to spread. Most humans dismissed them as wild tales or hoaxes. A few government agencies investigated but found nothing conclusive. None of them knew that high above their planet, the Ravi were facing their first real challenge in decades of conquest. Dae-sung sent an urgent message to Emperor Hangil. The control ray is not working as expected on humans. Request permission for expanded testing and possible strategy change. For the first time, the Ravi Empire's perfect record was in danger. Emperor Hangil sat on his golden throne aboard the Ravi Empire's massive command ship. His large eyes narrowed as he read the report from Earth for the 3rd time. Around him, high-ranking officials waited in nervous silence. Is this some kind of joke? Hangil finally asked, his voice cold. General Min-su stepped forward and bowed. No, Emperor. Chief Scientist Dae-sung has confirmed the findings multiple times. The humans can temporarily be controlled, but they always break free within minutes. Hangil crushed the report in his hand. For 200 years, the Ravi Empire had conquered world after world using their mind control technology. No species had ever resisted, until now. "Show me the test recordings," he ordered. A large screen appeared in the air before him. It showed a human female strapped to a table in a Ravi laboratory. A scientist pointed a control device at her, and her eyes became blank. She obeyed several commands to move her limbs in specific patterns. Then, 7 minutes later, something changed. The woman blinked rapidly. Her eyes cleared. She began struggling against her restraints and shouting at her captors. "Increase power," said Dae-sung's voice from off-screen. The scientist adjusted the device. The woman froze again, her face going blank, but only for 5 minutes this time before she broke free again. Hangil watched 10 more similar tests with different humans. The results were always the same. "What explanation does Dae-sung offer?" the emperor asked. Min Su referred to his notes. "He says human brains are unusually adaptable. Their neural pathways constantly form new connections. When our control ray blocks certain brain functions, their minds simply find a way around the blockage." "Impossible," Hangil muttered. A science officer stepped forward. "Sir, with permission, I can explain further." Hangil waved for him to continue. "Every other species we've encountered has stable neural networks. Our ray disrupts these networks permanently. But humans' brains are different. They're in a constant state of change. It's as if their minds refuse to stay in one pattern." Hangil rose from his throne and paced the gleaming floor. The Ravi Empire's entire strategy of conquest depended on the mind control ray. Without it, they would have to use conventional warfare, something they hadn't done in generations. "What about repeated applications?" he asked. "If we keep hitting them with the control ray, would that work?" "Dae-sung tried that," Min Su said. "The humans adapt faster each time. By the 5th exposure, one test subject was resistant after just 30 seconds. The room fell silent again. Hangil stared at the frozen image of Earth on his view screen. Such a small planet to cause such a big problem. "We cannot allow word of this to spread," he finally said. "If other species learn that our control technology can be resisted, everything we've built could collapse." Min Su nodded. "What are your orders, Emperor?" Hangil turned to face his advisors. "If we cannot control humans directly, we will control everything around them. Begin preparations for a full invasion force." "A conventional war?" Min Su asked, surprised. "No, we still use the control ray, but on Earth's animals instead. Every creature on that planet except humans. Their pets, their livestock, their wild animals, all will turn against them. We'll use their own planet to isolate and terrorize them." A cruel smile spread across Hangil's face. "Let's see how these adaptable humans handle that. When they're desperate enough, maybe they'll surrender willingly." Min Su bowed. "I'll give the orders immediately. And bring me Chief Scientist Dae-sung," Hangil added. "He will watch this operation personally. His career depends on its success." As his officers hurried to carry out his commands, Hangil returned to his throne. 23 worlds had fallen easily to the Ravi. He would not let this insignificant Earth be the first to resist. One way or another, humans would join the Empire. Yoon-ji stepped off the bus and looked at the university campus spread before her. Students walked between buildings, carrying books and talking in small groups. None of them knew she wasn't human. "Seoul National University," she said quietly, checking her fake identity card. According to her papers, she was Kim Yoon-ji, a transfer student from Busan. In reality, she was Intelligence Officer Yoon-ji of the Galactic Alliance, sent to Earth after Commander Taho's warning about the Ravi threat. Her mission was simple: learn why humans could resist mind control and determine if they could help fight the Ravi Empire. Yoon-ji adjusted her backpack and headed toward the science building. The Alliance had chosen her for this mission because her species looked very similar to humans. With just a few minor surgical adjustments, she could pass as one of them. She found room 307 easily. The sign on the door read Brain Research Laboratory, Professor Junho Park. This was her target. According to Alliance intelligence, Professor Park was one of Earth's leading experts on brain plasticity, the ability of brains to change and form new connections. She knocked and entered. The lab was large and bright, filled with advanced equipment. Advanced for Earth, at least. A man in his 40s looked up from a computer screen. "You must be Kim Yoon-ji, the new research assistant," he said with a friendly smile. Yoon-ji bowed slightly. "Yes, Professor Park. Thank you for accepting me into your program. Please, call me Junho. We're informal here." He gestured around the lab. "Your timing is perfect. We just received funding for a new study on neural adaptation." Yoon-ji tried to hide her excitement. This was exactly what she needed to learn about. Over the next few weeks, Yoon-ji worked closely with Junho and his team. She learned that human brains were indeed special. Unlike most species in the galaxy, human neural pathways were in constant flux, forming new connections throughout their lives. "The brain is like a river," Junho explained one day as they looked at brain scans. "If you block one path, the water simply finds another route." Yoon-ji nodded. "Is that common in all Earth species?" "No. That's what makes humans unique," Junho said. "Most animals have more fixed neural pathways after childhood, but humans maintain high plasticity throughout their lives. We're constantly rewiring our own brains without even realizing it." This explained why the Ravi control ray failed. It could temporarily block certain brain functions, but human minds would quickly build new pathways around the blockage. One evening, as Yoon-ji was alone in the lab analyzing data, her hidden communication device buzzed. She checked that no one was nearby before answering. "Officer Yoon-ji reporting," she whispered. Admiral Jae-yun's face appeared on the small screen. "We have troubling news. The Ravi haven't given up on Earth. Our scouts report they're bringing in a larger fleet." Yoon-ji frowned. "But they know their mind control doesn't work on humans." They changed tactics. They plan to use the control ray on Earth's animals instead. All of them. Yoon-ji gasped. That would be devastating. Humans rely on animals for food, work, and companionship. Exactly. The Ravi hope to create enough chaos that humans will surrender. Jae-yun's face was grim. "You need to warn them, Yoon-ji. Find someone who will believe you." Just then, the lab door opened. Junho walked in and stopped, staring at Yoon-ji and the alien device in her hand. "What is that?" he asked slowly. "And who are you talking to?" Yoon-ji quickly ended the transmission, but it was too late. She had been discovered. "Professor, I can explain," she began. "You're not really from Busan, are you?" Junho said, backing toward the door. Yoon-ji made a quick decision. The mission had just become much more urgent. She needed Junho's help, which meant she needed his trust. "No, I'm not," she admitted. "And Earth is in terrible danger. I need you to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you." Professor Junho sat in his office chair, staring at Yoon-ji. She had just finished telling him everything about the Galactic Alliance, the Ravi Empire, and the threat to Earth. His coffee had gone cold, forgotten on his desk. "This is hard to believe," he finally said. "I know," Yoon-ji replied. "But you've seen my communication device. It's not Earth technology." Before Junho could respond, his phone rang. He answered it, and his face went pale as he listened. "Turn on the news," he told Yoon-ji after hanging up. The small TV in the corner of the office showed chaos. Dogs attacking their owners, zoo animals breaking free from their cages, birds swarming in strange patterns over cities. "It's starting," Yoon-ji whispered. "The Ravi are controlling Earth's animals." Junho stood up quickly. "We need to warn people." "Who would believe us?" Yoon-ji asked. If you found it hard to accept with proof right in front of you, how will others react? I know someone who might listen. Jun-ho grabbed his coat. My brother-in-law, General Sang-min. He commands a military base outside Seoul. They drove through streets filled with panic. People ran from pets that had suddenly turned violent. Flocks of birds smashed into windows of buildings. Police tried to control the chaos but were overwhelmed. At the military base, soldiers rushed about in controlled panic. General Sang-min met them at the gate, his face stern. Jun-ho, this isn't a good time, he said. We have reports of animal attacks across the country. That's why we're here, Jun-ho replied. Yoon-ji can explain what's happening. Inside Sang-min's office, Yoon-ji told her story again. The general listened with growing disbelief. Aliens, mind control. Do you expect me to believe this? Yoon-ji sighed and reached into her bag. She pulled out a small metal device and placed it on the desk. This is a standard Alliance scanner. It can detect the Ravi control signal. She turned it on, and it projected a 3D map of the area, showing waves of energy coming from the sky. These are the mind control rays targeting animals around us. Sang-min stared at the projection. This technology is far beyond anything we have. Because it's not from Earth, Yoon-ji said. The Ravi ships are in orbit right now, broadcasting these signals. And it will get worse. As if on cue, Sang-min's phone rang. His face grew grim as he listened to the report. Farm animals are turning violent in rural areas, he said after hanging up. Food supplies will be affected soon. And there are reports of wild animals leaving forests, moving toward cities. The Ravi want to create as much chaos as possible, Yoon-ji explained. They hope humans will surrender rather than face starvation and constant attacks. Jun-ho, who had been thinking deeply, suddenly looked up. But there might be a way to fight back. If human brains can resist the control ray because of our neural plasticity, maybe we can use that somehow. How? Sang-min asked. I'm not sure yet, Jun-ho admitted, but I need access to my lab equipment and a secure place to work. Sang-min nodded. I can arrange that here on the base. We have a research facility. I can help too, Yoon-ji said. I know how the Ravi technology works. A loud explosion shook the building. Sang-min rushed to the window and saw smoke rising from the base perimeter. The zoo animals, he said grimly. They've broken through the outer fence. A soldier burst into the office. Sir, we need you in the command center. The situation is getting worse across the country. Sang-min turned to Jun-ho and Yoon-ji. You have whatever resources you need. Find a way to stop this. As they hurried to the research facility, Yoon-ji looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, Emperor Han-gil was watching, confident in his new strategy. Little did he know, humans were already working on a solution, and they had something the Ravi didn't understand: the ability to adapt. 3 days after the attacks began, the world was in chaos. People stayed locked in their homes, afraid of the animals outside. Food became hard to find as farm animals turned on farmers and delivery trucks were attacked by birds and wildlife. In the military base outside Seoul, Professor Jun-ho worked day and night in the lab. Yoon-ji helped him understand the Ravi control technology, while General Sang-min kept the base safe from animal attacks. The problem is clear, Jun-ho said, looking at brain scans on his computer. The control ray locks onto specific brain patterns. Human brains change too quickly for it to work on us, but animal brains are more stable. So how do we help the animals? Yoon-ji asked. We need to create something that disrupts the control signal, Jun-ho explained. If we can broadcast a counter signal, we might free the animals from control. General Sang-min entered the lab with a grim face. Whatever you're working on, hurry. Half the country has no power now. Animals attack the power plants. We need more data, Jun-ho said. Different types of human brain activity to see which patterns might disrupt the Ravi signal. Sang-min nodded. What do you need? Volunteers. People with different types of mental activities. Soon, The lab was filled with people, a meditation teacher, several children, artists, musicians, and chess players. Junho scanned their brains while they performed different activities. Late that night, as Junho studied the results, he noticed something interesting. "Look at this," he told Yoonji, pointing to his screen. "These 3 brain patterns are the most chaotic and unpredictable." Yoonji looked at the labels: a child playing freely, an artist painting without a plan, and a monk in deep meditation. What do they have in common? They're all states where the human mind is most flexible, Junho explained excitedly. The child is using pure imagination. The artist is creating something new. The monk has learned to constantly reset his mental patterns. And the Ravi control ray can't lock onto changing patterns, Yoonji said, understanding. So if we could broadcast these brain patterns, we might create a field that disrupts the control signal. Junho finished. They worked through the night, building a device that could scan brain activity and convert it into a broadcast signal. By morning, they had a prototype, a small metal box with wires connected to a headset. "It's ready for testing," Junho said, his eyes red from lack of sleep. Sangmin brought in a cage with a controlled dog inside. The animal growled and tried to attack them through the bars. Its eyes were empty, just like the controlled Moraxians that Commander Taho had observed. Junho put the headset on and activated the device. "I'll try to maintain a meditative state, like the monk showed me." The machine hummed. A soft blue light spread from it, washing over the cage. At first, nothing happened. The dog continued to growl and snap. Then, slowly, its eyes began to clear. The growling stopped. The dog looked around, confused but normal again. "It worked," Yoonji shouted. Sangmin leaned closer to the cage. "The dog seems completely normal now." Junho removed the headset, his hands shaking from excitement. "But the effect only covers a small area, maybe 10 meters. We need to make it much stronger and broadcast it widely." "I can help with that," Sangmin said. "The military has broadcast equipment that could reach the entire city. And I can contact the Alliance," Yoonji added. "They might be able to help expand the signal globally." For the first time since the attacks began, they had hope. Humans had found a way to fight back against the Ravi control ray. But up in orbit, Emperor Hangil was watching, and he wasn't going to give up easily. News of Junho's successful test spread quickly among world leaders. Within 2 days, scientists from around the globe joined their efforts, connecting through secure military channels. They called the device the Neural Chaos Transmitter. In the military base outside Seoul, Junho supervised as technicians built larger versions of his prototype. Yoonji had managed to contact Admiral Jae-yun, who promised Alliance help but warned they were still weeks away. "Earth must defend itself until we arrive," Jae-yun had told her. "Our ships are gathering, but the Ravi fleet outnumbers us." Meanwhile, Emperor Hangil watched Earth from his command ship. Reports of the humans' countermeasure had reached him, making him angry. "Increase the power of the control rays," he ordered Chief Scientist Dae-sung. "I want every animal on that planet under our control." Back on Earth, General Sangmin entered the lab where Junho was working. "We're ready to test the large transmitter," he announced. "It's been installed on top of the communications tower." They gathered outside, looking up at the tall tower where the new device had been placed. Junho checked the controls on his tablet. "The transmitter is connected to 10 volunteers," he explained. 5 children playing games, 3 artists painting, and 2 monks meditating. Their combined brain patterns should create a strong disruption field. "How far will it reach?" Sangmin asked. "In theory, about 20 kilometers, Junho said. "Enough to cover most of Seoul." He pressed the activation button. The device on the tower began to glow with a soft blue light. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then they heard the change. The constant growling and screeching of controlled animals began to fade. Looking around, they saw birds flying in normal patterns again. A stray dog that had been prowling the base perimeter sat down and began to lick its paws. "It's working," Yoonji said, smiling for the first time in days. All across Seoul, animals returned to normal behavior. People cautiously emerged from their homes. The city began to come alive again. Similar transmitters were quickly built in other major cities. Scientists shared Junho's design online, and people everywhere began building smaller versions to protect their neighborhoods. For a moment, it seemed humans had won, but the Ravi were not finished. In orbit, Emperor Hangil slammed his fist on his throne. "They think they can defeat us so easily," he growled. "Prepare the main control ship. We'll use the Empire's full power." General Min Su looked worried. "Emperor, the main control ship has never been used at full capacity. The energy requirements are enormous." "I don't care," Hangil snapped. "I will not be defeated by these primitive humans." On Earth, people celebrated as more animals were freed. Junho and Yoonji worked with international teams to expand coverage of the neural chaos transmitters. Then, without warning, the sky turned red. A massive Ravi ship, 10 times larger than any seen before, moved into position above Earth. In the military base, alarms blared. Yoonji's communication device buzzed urgently. "The Ravi have brought their main control ship," Admiral Jae-hyun warned. "It can generate a control ray powerful enough to overcome your defenses." As if to prove her point, the neural chaos transmitter on the tower began to flicker. The blue glow faded as the massive red beam from the Ravi ship overpowered it. Around them, freed animals suddenly froze. Their eyes emptied again as the stronger control ray took effect. "No," Junho shouted, frantically adjusting his equipment. "The signal is too strong. Our transmitter can't compete with it." Sangmin looked up at the red sky. "So this is how it ends. We were so close." Yoonjae placed her hand on Junho's shoulder. "Not yet. There's still one option left." Junho looked at her questioningly. "If one transmitter isn't strong enough," she said, "what about billions of them?" "Billions of transmitters?" Junho asked Yoonji, confused. "How?" "Every human brain naturally resists the control ray," Yoonji explained. "What if we could link people together somehow? Create a network of human minds, all focused on the same goal." Junho's eyes widened as he understood. A global meditation. Billions of people all creating neural chaos at once. "Exactly," Yoonji said. "But we need a way to connect and amplify their brain patterns." General Sangmin stepped forward. "The global satellite network. We can use it to broadcast instructions and then collect and amplify the response." They worked frantically as the situation outside worsened. The Ravi control ship continued to broadcast its powerful ray, turning more animals violent. In cities around the world, people retreated back into their homes as the brief period of safety ended. Meanwhile, the Ravi launched a new phase of their attack. Automated battle drones descended from the control ship, targeting power plants, water supplies, and communication centers. "Emperor Hangil is getting impatient," Yoonji told the others as they watched news reports of the drones. "He's shifting to direct attack." Military forces worldwide responded to the drone attacks. Despite their less advanced technology, human soldiers showed remarkable skill at adapting to the alien threat. They quickly learned the drones' weaknesses and shared this knowledge globally. In North America, soldiers discovered that the drone's sensors could be confused by simple smoke. In Russia, they found that strong electromagnetic pulses could disable drone controls. Each discovery was immediately shared with all fighting forces. Within hours, humans began capturing intact drones. Engineers worked quickly to understand the alien technology. By the end of the day, they had reprogrammed several drones to fight against their creators. Emperor Hangil watched these developments with growing anger. "How are they adapting so quickly?" he demanded. "It appears to be their natural state," Dae-sung replied nervously. Humans learn and adjust faster than any species we've encountered. Han Gil turned to General Min Su. Prepare for ground invasion. We will take this planet by force. But Min Su hesitated. Emperor, our soldiers have not engaged in direct combat for generations. We've always relied on the control ray. Are you questioning my orders? Han Gil snapped. No, Emperor, Min Su bowed quickly. I will prepare the troops. On Earth, Junho, Yunji, and Sangmin had completed their global mind-link system. Using all available satellites and communication networks, they could now connect billions of human minds. The broadcast is ready, Sangmin said. All world leaders have agreed to transmit the message at the same time. Junho nodded and took a deep breath. Let's do it. At exactly 3:00 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every television, radio, phone, and computer on Earth broadcast the same message. People of Earth, our world is under attack. For the next 5 minutes, we ask everyone to participate in a global meditation. Close your eyes. Imagine a blue light protecting our planet. Think of peace, creativity, and freedom. Together, we can save our world. All across the planet, people followed the instructions. From crowded cities to remote villages, humans closed their eyes and focused their minds. Children imagined blue shields around their homes. Artists pictured waves of creative energy. Everyone, in their own way, created neural chaos. The satellites collected these billions of brain patterns and broadcast them back toward the Ravi control ship. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The red beam from the control ship continued to dominate the sky. Then, slowly, the red began to fade as a blue glow spread from the Earth. The two energies fought for dominance in the atmosphere. In his command ship, Emperor Han Gil felt something he had never experienced before: doubt.